Happy Sunday. We are bringing you love today from all areas of the North American continent. We have Canada being represented by our senior ambassador, Caroline Berzins of the Buddies. We have Arkansas, the Ozarks, where they've been doing some really cool things. We see some campers and some other things hanging from poles there, and from Poe there in Arkansas. And then we have Nori Love here joining us today as our guest from the northern area of Florida. Nori, we're so happy to have you on the tour of love. We also are live on the E360 TV platform. What does that mean? It means you can take us anywhere with you because it is web TV, and this is how you find it. So we're going to be talking about some exciting things. Yet, Poe, what? Tell us what is going on in your neck of the woods. Why don't you catch us up?
Well, this is for about 5 generations. There's been, I'm in Arkansas, northern Arkansas, and this is a little town called Mountain View, and it's considered the folk music capital of the world. And every year they have a festival, a folk festival, folk music festival, and it's in April. And then we have our own personal Fool festival. That's a whole nother story. That's gone over for, this will be 43 years. But with all the lockdowns and so forth, we've had to cancel a few of them. So this was our first one back in a big field where there's been tons of campers. About everybody's left, but and gone in for breakfast and family that I've got here in town. But yeah, it's been a great weekend, and excited to have Caroline here from Canada and Nori Love here. And Nori, I mean, my gosh, what a perfect name. I keep, it's here Nori Love, and I keep, she's from the Love, you got the Love family, we got the Love reunion. I keep thinking, you go into a hotel and see a big event, we got the Love reunion there, or a Love wedding, or where did that come from? And tell us about yourself, Nori.
Well, my name is now my brand. Came from, I was working in an arena of nursing where if the patients were disgruntled, the potential for them to come look for you existed. So all of the charge nurses and administrators said, you cannot put your last name out on social media. So I was really concerned about, I didn't know what. I was like, Nori, I don't know. And I said, all right, what's most important to me in the world? And it's love. So I said, Nori Love, and bam, it just stuck. So that's how that came about. And actually, I love it so much now. I really do.
Oh, wow. Well, so you and a little bit about you. I mean, as I understand it, you were in the medical emergency. You were a traveling RN. A little bit about how you went from that tradition, because we know how important that is if you have a car wreck in the emergency side of medicine. But you have evolved into something in what we talk a lot about, which is frequency. And of course, with that love frequency and gratitude and joy, how important shifting that frequency is, not just in feeling better, but in your body, mind, spirit, soul, and healing. And you seem to be doing that a lot. You got a place called the Center for Radiant Well-Being. So how did you migrate from allopathic medicine? And obviously we know how important parts of that are, but you've really evolved in some amazing therapies and education.
Yes. Well, back in the day, I was an aerobic instructor. First of all, I was an obese girl. I stopped getting on the scale at 210 pounds. So I began to devour health and fitness. I became an aerobic instructor. Then all of the health clubs wanted me to be running their programs, which really took me out of what I love to do. So I began to notice a need because people would come into the health clubs and they would be promised the moon. They would be overweight. They would receive nothing. And I said, you know what? There's a need here. And I began by pioneering personal training in the Virginia Beach area. And it went viral. I was on TV talk shows, the news. Before I knew it, I had 4 trainers working with me. So I did that for several years. And then I got married and I could see the handwriting on the wall. That wasn't going well. And I decided to go back to school. So I became a nurse. And my specialty was burn trauma, surgical ICU, the ER. I love the high adrenaline stuff, but I would very behind the scenes sneak my philosophy into my nursing care that if you use your mind and your prayers to make yourself well, you will get well. And as a result of that, I would speak to my comatose patients, tell them, use your mind and your prayers, see yourself doing this, and people were getting better. So it was, I was no longer a closet healer at that point in time. I came out of the closet, and then I began to do less and less high adrenaline things, and I traveled around the country doing travel nursing. And my love for the holistic aspect of life just turned into a wave of tsunami proportions. And again, I saw the need. Here we are in shutdown. People are gaining 20, 30, 40 pounds. Their health isn't so good. Their immunity is in question. And I just answered the call, and I created the Center for Radiant Wellbeing, where not only traditional exercise, but alternative offerings, Reiki, EFT, slow movement, Tai Chi, things like that. You can go and work on body, mind, spirit, and soul, because in that balance of body, mind, spirit, and soul, that's where health happens. That's where well-being happens.
And it can't really just happen in one. One thing will affect all the others, isn't that right? So you really have to work on them all, and just like you just can work on the body or the mind part or the spirit part or the soul, because they're all connected.
They are, and if you observe, one will lead you into the rest. If you go in saying, I want to work on my body, it will eventually lead you to your spirit and your soul and the way that you think. So you can enter that balance in any one of those areas. And if you are open to it, it will lead you into that beautiful harmonic balance and frequency.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I want to say thank you also for coming and sharing all of that information. When we were on the tour of love at the end, towards the end of 2020, you had already gone to the Center for Radiant Wellbeing up and going, and you actually filmed a workout that we were able to share the love during the tour of love on the end of November, the beginning of December. I want to recognize you for that, because it is so important for our bodies, our minds, our souls, and that, that we ingest with the water, the living water, right? Living, loving water, and being wise with our food choices, all of the above. And you were able to share. I love the fact that how you were just talking about the slow and everything. You were able to share some techniques in that video that you filmed about how we can work out without hurting ourselves.
So important. So important. And that was the other thing that I would see, where you would join some of these boot camp kind of programs, and they'd be like, come on, bend your knees, bend your knees. I'm like, no, don't bend your knees. Don't go deeper. It's about self-love. You will eventually get to that degree of squat, but it's not through pushing it too fast, too soon. It is totally about self-love and honoring where you're at every point on the trajectory. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was going
I
to
was
ask
just
you
going
because
to. Go ahead.
you go. No, you go. You're on roll. Keep going. It sounds great.
I'm going to pass it to Caroline actually, because
That's and
let's
that's
have some fun
well
here.
that's what I was going to do. That's
Okay,
exactly
well,
what I was going to do.
I'll let you set up Caroline. There you go. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Caroline in Canada, hello, and she's been a part of this for years, and behind the scenes in many ways. But obviously, with the cancer group that I've met before, this was a nonprofit that this is helping benefit the CB4L. It was Chemo Buddies for Life, and so a lot of this close community Caroline has been so tapped into in so many ways, and it's a support system that is beautiful. Where a survivor, or we call them conquerors, can help somebody who's just coming into like the shock of this, and helping them navigate through this. And so much of what we talk about here, we talk about in the private group, which is raising that vibration and body, mind, spirit, soul, and all the things that are important. And Caroline, so I want to pass it to you because you've talked to a lot of these people and you see a lot of the things they're facing. What kind of question do you have for Nori that fits into some of this?
So being this the volunteer for this senior ambassador for the Chemo Buddies community, my question is what benefits that I can share with my buddies in challenging them on the days that they don't feel like eating or the days that they don't feel like moving their bodies. Is there simple exercises that they can do or things that they can do on the side of putting like a small plate out and walking by and just grabbing it when they feel like it? Because most buddies don't feel like eating throughout the day, but they still need their energy and they still need their nutrition.
Yes, absolutely. And so speaking about the food, that is not a time to get legalistic about what you eat. And some of us have that habit, like, oh no, I shouldn't eat that. This is the time to use heavy cream, right? Whole milk yogurt, right? Don't be afraid of the calories. You need the calories. So I would say make yourself some kind of amazing smoothie, right? With whole milk, with a little bit of heavy cream. I mean, make it really yummy. Maybe fruits, or if you're more of a peanut butter kind of person, make it with peanut butter and some honey, and just gently sip on that throughout the day. And then decide what foods can you get the biggest bang for your buck, if you will. Beautiful blueberries, raspberries, maybe a decadent piece of cheese that you love, right? This is not the time to worry about, oh, that's high fat. Just allow yourself to eat whatever you can and take little bitty bites, because overdoing it is going to make you say no to more food going forward. And then to move, right? When you move, you're going to get your digestion moving a little bit, and that may stimulate your desire to want to eat. And you could do something as simple as sitting in the chair and just imagine lifting the weight of your upper body off of your hips. When you think about doing that, you automatically straighten your spine. If you had a golden thread up into the heavens, gently allow that thread to be pulled, right? You lengthen your neck, you lengthen your spine, your energy flows better through your spine, and that might inspire you to do a little bit more, to stand up and maybe make circles, gentle circles with your hips in both directions. And that's not just for the muscles, you're actually tapping into your energy centers as well.
Beautiful. And so much of what you said earlier, about love, that self-love, that plays into that because that's what I keep hearing through that. Beautiful. Go ahead, Caroline.
I just wanted to mention, because I heard in your video too about the sock throwing, like getting their motor skills going that way.
Yes.
Is there like maybe soft balls that they can use if they don't want to use socks outside? Because most people do go outside in like the ski shack or, is there any other thing that they can do motor skills with their hands?
Absolutely. So I would recommend a Nerf ball, right? Just something. It's going to hit you in the head. You just, that's a given. So anything that you're okay being hit with. And the challenge is to not look at it. Okay, the challenge is to depend on your peripheral vision. So you look straight ahead, you throw it up in the air and you catch it, and you get some exercise picking it up. And then you try it with your non-dominant hand, looking ahead, picking the ball up, and it's so much fun. And then you try both. And then if you're really feeling, adventurous, you throw it up in the air, quick pass it, and try and catch with the other. And, before you know it, 10, 15 minutes has gone by, and you've been moving your body, bending down, picking up, and feeling good about yourself. Because, it may seem silly, but when you catch both balls in both hands, you're like, yes, I did it. And that uplifts your spirit. So I love that you brought that up, Caroline. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for the great information.
Oh, and okay, and I see the dog ball being thrown by Skip. We have a little fur buddy there on the floor. Who's your fur buddy there?
This is Wisty, Wisteria, but she goes by Wisty. She's a little angel dog. If you come here, she will be under your feet, and if by chance you're not feeling well, she'll be glued to you. She's one of those dogs. She's really, really an angel dog, aren't you? Yes, you are. we have three here, but she usually hangs around with me.
Very sweet. Well, and you brought up the buddies, Caroline, and also you did Poe, and we have a short clip of a little video to explain what it is that we do and who it is that we support through this show.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Chemo Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a Chemo Buddy for life.
We are a Buddies Network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are Chemo Buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for life.
Healing through connections.
I also want to recognize Susan Day. She shared something with us just a few moments ago, and want to say that we are thinking about you. You are a buddy, and we would like to be there for you and let you know. So join us if you'd like. On Facebook, we have the closed group at Chemo Buddies for Life Community. Please come and feel the humor, hope, heart hugs, and a whole lot of love that we share on a daily basis. Also want to recognize we have Lawana Bradford and Lawana that we need to share into the group. Celebrate You, one of the groups that we are aligning with, our messages and such. And we also have one of our volunteers, Susan Billington, that is here. We want to say hello to Sherry McQueen. Sherry McQueen, generously, she printed the celebration journal, which we use in our program. She had them printed, and we want to say thank you for that. Yes, and we have celebration journals going out right now, always, yet you can also find one on cb4l.org, cb4l.org, and you can print one out. Oh, thank you, Luana, thank you. you can print one out. We have a PDF there that you can get immediately. So we want to say thank you. And yes, we do have a store, and the store completely 100% every single penny that is the revenue from it goes straight into the programs. And yes, we have and we have new images that have been placed in there. Go there often and have some fun. Back to you, Poe.
Well, great, and thanks everybody for being here, joining. Certainly, our sharing with us, and our hearts and prayers are always with everybody. And if you're part of the closed group or want to be a part of that, like Tamara said, that's a huge support system for. It was for me, and it continues to be, and for so many that heck, everybody's been touched by cancer and other things. This is a great community, and so that's why we're here, is to share this. And so part of what we are doing is because of those lower vibrations we talk a lot about, of fear and guilt or shame or even anger. Down there is to show that, this chart. I knew you were going to bring it up. Is we get stuck down there, and the more we feed into that, we get more of it back, fear or despair. And just like not eating, I mean, that's energy. And how do you put that in? And the self-love, that's energy. And so connecting to people who are like energy helps us not only sustain where we hope to be, or maybe where we are, but to start climbing up that to love, gratitude, joy. And since we are energy, and everything's energy, with Nori, I mean, that's what she has evolved her amazing career and practice into from, man, I mean, you talk about front line, emergency room RN, she saw it all. And to help sneak in, and I love that part, she was sneaking in the frequency stuff, because that's medicine, is it not? And how you now evolve that into, because you also have your medical part still very at a resource in your toolbox. How everything, the stuff you're talking about, food and movement, it's all frequency and vibration and light, right?
Absolutely, it is. And there's two things I just want to mention after watching this. One, I love what Chemo Buddies for Life is doing, because the last role that I played in the nursing field was as a hospice nurse. And 98% of the patients couldn't talk to their family about their fears and about death, because they felt like it would be a burden to them. So to have somebody that they can freely talk with, that is so uplifting, and that removes that sense of isolation. So I love what you're doing with this. And then regarding the energy triangle that you had up, you could look at that and go, wow, I'm down here in despair or fear, and I've got to get up to love. And that could actually put you into a lower vibration. So I would just invite people to know that all you have to do is take it a little bit at a time. Just reach for the next good feeling thought. You're like, okay, yes, I'm here on the couch. I feel like I've been, run over by a truck. What is good about this right now? Well, I love the sunshine floating through my window. I love how the purple drapes receive the sunlight and it casts an aura of purple in my room. Just that little bit of reaching for the next higher energy will uplift your body and your cells and, of course, your frequency. I love that.
Yeah, and that's so true. I mean, I had COVID back in December, and certainly it was right before Christmas, and I couldn't be around anybody and family, and I started getting, of course, fearful because I was having symptoms, and then I started to kind of get apathy, and it was just really a state of despair. And I thought, well, love, forget that. I mean, but what I did was I stepped to anger. It's like, by gosh, I'm going to get angry at this COVID thing. And that started some energy moving. And that started me moving. And that started me saying, I'm going to kick its butt. And, so I get it, and it's so much. And back to the whole cancer thing 11 years ago almost. Was diagnosed with cancer, and the prognosis wasn't good. And I was in Sedona, Arizona. I lived there for 12 years. My family was all back in Arkansas, and my dad's a doctor and orthopedic surgeon, and people that But I decided, and it probably I was right or wrong, but when I was diagnosed and I had surgeries and I had treatments, like I'm not going to tell them. It's just a burden for them to carry, and they can't do anything about it. And so for the first couple of months, I didn't have anybody I could talk to, and so that isolation, I felt and even the doctors and nurses were nice, but they hadn't gone through the experience themselves. And so to have people who have actually walked this journey and are here out of love and compassion and gratitude that they've conquered it, and for the fellow support system, that's all frequency and energy. So yes, it's a beautiful organization. Where do you see this going? Because we've got a lot of fear-based stuff going on in the world, and part of this whole tour of love is about uniting people, and bringing people together and lifting that kind of consciousness of that collective consciousness of humanity, really. And we've been talking about a lot of individual stuff, but we're part of a movement, and it seems very needed right now. And certainly in Canada, things are different than they are here in Arkansas, where we're able to get together. In California, I don't know what Florida is, but we'll talk a little bit about that for us, Nori.
About what's happening here?
Well, just about the collective, how important, how do we do this on a collective? We're kind of doing it right now with the people, but that importance of collective raising that frequency of love.
Yes, I love that. And first, I just want to go back to what you said. Anger is definitely a higher vibration than despair or fear. So if you can move yourself into anger and want to kick some butt, I'd say don't ever feel guilty about that. Just let it rip, really. But collectively, back when Heart Math began, they did a lot of study on prayer and how prayer works in a non-local way. So everything that we're doing, our vibration right now, everybody that's watching, and our vibration together is uplifting anybody who is in, or anybody who focuses on the intention of this group and the intention of healing. So everything that we do, even just thinking good thoughts together about other people, is healing in and of itself. Everything that we do, having a phone call, making somebody laugh, meeting on Zoom, that is so pivotal in the collective consciousness. Imagine that it's a big invisible bubble of love that we're all living in. And every time we think something good, the color of the air changes. It gets sparkly, it gets purple, it gets turquoise, it gets pink. And we, on an unconscious level, celebrate the magic and the energy that brings.
Yes, I, as a filmmaker, I was blessed to have gone out there and worked with the Institute of Heart Math in San Jose. Their labs, and it was a Sacred Journey of the Heart was the movie with Greg Braden, Joe Dispenza, and several of the founders and people with the at the Heart Math. And it was and Greg Braden is on their board actually at Heart Math, and part of the training that you get out there. But we incorporated that. Is that science is now proving that all these traditions of prayer and our ancestors of ritual, they've been right all along. And one of the examples of that collective thing that you reminded me of was Greg Braden actually saying that, and it's in the film, it's on Guy TV, you can watch The Sacred Journey of the Heart, but one of the things he said was that NASA, he was a NASA scientist as well, and he was they were monitoring, they put these satellites up, these GOES satellites that monitor this frequency of the Earth, which is been constant, 8 point whatever it was. It was the same consistent frequency, which ironically happens to be the same as us in our heart. But what was interesting was one day, scientists noticed on the charts that it went crazy, and it hadn't done this in years. Or decades they've been monitoring it. And so they tried to figure out, well, what in the world happened? Literally, what in the world happened? Because this was the frequency of the Earth. And they laid it on a timeline to see what was going on in the world. And they noticed that the frequency of the Earth went off the chart 10 minutes after the first plane hit the World Trade Center on 9/11. It was with a global reaction, with the news hitting everybody and them feeling through their heart, compassion, sorrow, prayer, anger, whatever, those frequencies set the Earth's frequency, which technically we wouldn't think those were related, but it was proof that we are directly related to not only each other, but this planet. Yeah. So does that resonate with what you kind of what you were talking about?
That so resonates with what I'm talking about. And, Joe Dispenza, I love his work. He shows people by taking them into meditation that if you can have the experience of well-being, even if it's just a little tiny aspect of it, our cells react to that. So if you can't quiet your mind and bring yourself to that point, if you can imagine tapping in to the waterfall of love that everybody is contributing to, if you can just imagine that, you're going to feel the well-being, and that's going to change the frequency inside of yourselves. So the collective love, the outpouring of everybody here is always there for people to tap into. I love what you guys are doing so much. I'm just so honored to be here with you.
Well, we are thrilled and honored to have you. And yeah, Dr. Joe, I was in the film too. I got to work with him, and it all is connected. And then I have a lot of indigenous ancient wisdom carriers from tribes, and they were all saying the same thing. I got to travel around the world and do a lot of things with people in Europe. And all these experts and all these religious leaders, and then and from Buddhism to you name it, to the indigenous tribes, were all saying the same thing, just differently.
Yes.
And so it's such a beautiful thing. So as I think we are collectively raising, hopefully our consciousness, we're in here a lot, but raising that the earth, there's a lot of shifts and changes. And what's coming around the corner with what you're doing and what you saw to be kind of the new frontier. I mean, Dr. Joe and Bruce Lipton with new biology and a lot of the things that are happening. We are turning the corner on some exciting new frontiers that people, I think it's already blowing a few people's minds that are aware of it, but what's really coming for humanity. Can you talk about that and how you see this exciting time we live in?
I like to envision it as like a tsunami wave of light. And every one of us who goes inward and applies our focus to sharing love so if I go into prayer or meditation and I think about just sending love to everybody who is a part of Chemo Buddies for Life, I love to envision that as a tsunami wave of light that builds from my heart, flows out, floods my house, my neighborhood, and goes out around the globe and meets with every single person who is open to receive. That's my favorite visualization. And it's as easy as that. And it's as easy as quietly going, how can I tap into this outpouring of love that Chemo Buddies for Life is giving us? And in the silence, you will receive an answer. It might not be something to do. It might just be a feeling of peace. It might be a flutter of hopefulness, right? A flutter of, oh my goodness, something good is going to happen. And in that moment, every single cell in your body reacts to that. And that's where healing happens. It can be so simple. I hope I answered the question.
Can't hear you, Tamara.
Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Here we go. Within our organization, we every single day, and oftentimes Caroline is leading this, we actually have exactly that, where we put this image up. We put this image up, exactly what you were just explaining about it starting at one place within your heart, and then, that ripple effect. Right, exactly. And and going out there, because that healing energy of all of us coming together, and then Caroline and others within the group. And I want to shout out to Shannon Green, because she helps to share this on a daily basis too. And we will put together the names of those that need that extra oomph of love. And you shared it so beautifully, and want to thank you for that, because there is truly healing power in that, and we call it healing through connection, healing through love.
Oh, I love that. And, you know, I do what's called a transformational imagery meditation. And they're 15-minute-ish. They're available on Center for Radiant Wellbeing YouTube channel. I'm going to be uploading more. They're free. And all it is 15 minutes of visualizing beautiful scenes, you know, light, just beautiful words that uplift the soul. And that's the same thing, because if we can feel it, if we can experience it in our imagination, it transfers into the physical. I love what you guys are doing. Such a powerful healing that you're offering. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Caroline, you listening? Go ahead. Yes.
I've experienced and seen the difference in a lot of our buddies when we send out that vibration of love, especially when we do our 30-second moment of silence for everybody, and we send out extra prayers for the ones that really need it at that time. It's really made a difference in having them see the shining light of themselves and to others, and have really come out and joined us in the community, because it's making a difference for them.
And I was just going to ask you that question. How do you, Caroline, how do you see that show up? And you, because you're right there in the middle on many levels with so many of the people in the group, and you've seen transformations happen. And I guess, the goal, and even with your question you ask about food, is how do we bottle that and increase more of that, and keep out the the things like, and I love the example, Nori, of you may be down here in despair or depression or apathy or whatever, and jump into love. Trying to do that may actually create more reason to go further lower. Oh my gosh, who is this? We've got some.
Oh yeah, I had to share
my other.
Go ahead.
Oh.
So can I
yes.
talk about this? Okay. So I was adopted, and my best friend forced me to do ancestry DNA. So the next thing I know, I have 5 siblings that I never knew about. This was where I went to meet one of my siblings, my sister, and I was such a nervous wreck. I was coming off a really bad back injury, and this horse is Harley. He's in South Carolina. He didn't make it as a Clydesdale, but he is so magical. So I was inspired to heal him, not knowing he was going to heal me. And literally, touch him, he nuzzled his nose right into my heart. And when I went to do Reiki with him, he exhaled into my heart. And honest to God, every fear, every pain just literally left me. And that was one of the most magical, supernatural experiences I have ever had.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Caroline, you were going to continue on something. Caroline had something else that she wanted to say.
I just, in my community, when I'm there with the buddies, I call them, they call me, we talk on the phone, ask them how their day is doing and how they're feeling, and what their energy level is like. I also challenge them on different things for themselves. I ask them 3 questions and ask them to challenge themselves on it and post it into the group. And if you see behind me, I have art, and I usually give an art piece away to the person who wins. So what I do is I put all their names into a container and I pick out the winner. And that's just to get them motivated to really work on themselves with their own, their own journey of what they're going through. And I do give away a piece of art. Just as a gift to them, for them to get motivated and join into the community more.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So, Caroline, I would love to share with you a really powerful tool, because you love asking questions. And this is not mine. This comes from Access Consciousness, Dane here and Gary Douglas. If you say, body, how can I love you today? And you just take a moment and tap in, your body will tell you what it desires today. Especially if you're worried about not eating food. Body, how can I love you today? How can I partner more deeply with you? All of the answers, it might not come immediately, but it will come during that day. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's great information I can share in the community with you.
My pleasure.
Wow. Well, God, that's beautiful. Having what Caroline was talking about and seeing the art, which reminds me, because you've got whole, call them categories of healing with art, healing with music, healing with film, because again, we're talking about frequencies. They're all vibration, and our interaction with those are all frequency resonant. We used that word a while ago, of how we resonate with that, be it what my brother, who's an impressionist artist, very successful, and he teaches classes all around the world, but he tells them the first thing is stop painting what you see, paint what you feel, which is he and he goes, and then he tries to take them back, these stock investor lawyers type, and he goes, do you remember when you were a little kid and you opened that box of crayons for the first time and you saw how sharp they were and piece of paper? You were an artist. Everybody was an artist. And that's part of, we've, somehow detached. And so that reconnection, and that's something I really love to use. And I've heard a lot of healers and people use, that we've lost that reconnection. I mean, one of the Lakota guys in the Sacred Journey of the Heart with Greg Braden and Joe Dispenza, all these people, he was a Lakota, and he said a great line. He was a descendant of Crazy Horse, and he said something to the effect that, the snake and the four-legged and the bird and the ants, they all remember their original instructions. The educated two-legged has forgotten theirs. And I thought, boy, you got me there, boom. Because that reconnection to nature, to our heart, to art, to how does that relate to what you do, Nori? Because does that also resonate?
It totally resonates, and letting go of reality. Forget reality. This is Abraham Hicks' teachings.
Yes.
Forget reality. Sit down with a pen and a paper and script the way you want it to be, as if it's happening. Right? Go back into nature, lay down in the grass and see the clouds. Oh, wow, that looks like a teddy bear. That looks like a dragon. There's a butterfly, right? Allow yourself to fall into the fantasy and let that heal you, because it will. I totally agree with you. Don't look at reality. Don't look at lab values. Don't look at, what the doctor says. I mean, my famous little hospice patient, she was probably 90 something years old, and the doctor came in and said, you've got until, a month. And when the doctor left, she said, oh, hell no. And so he went on to live 2 more years. Right? She was like, no, I'm not looking at reality. I am going to create my own reality. And she did. And that is available to us in every single moment of the day.
Well, and that goes back to, that's so true and beautiful to Tamara and her story, and her own personal of what kind of inspired her to do the whole Chemo Buddies and community thing, was going into to cancer chemotherapy and seeing what it was like and saying, no, boas, Beach Boy music, we're going to turn this into a higher vibration. And the doctors actually said, like in that video, how can we bottle this? Because it was making a difference with the other people. And I think Tamara actually said at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, but that the doctors were trying to figure out who to arrange scheduling to help benefit while you were there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that is with my original buddy, in the chemotherapy room, yes. And also, along with that, the why behind the why of this program is that I actually saw that, like the hospice patient that you were just saying, like, not happening. In my own family, I have many people that it was like, ain't happening. And a stepfather that lived years where they opened him up and said, you've got a few days. No, ain't happening. My mom, a miracle, 34 years after she was told, get your affairs of order, you got a few months. Ain't happening. Because it's a matter of drawing the, all of what we're sharing right now, the love, the imagination, the looking at the clouds, the belief that I have a reason to be here and to believe in it wholeheartedly through everything that we're sharing. And so that's what I just love about your message here, Nori, because you have so many people, and for anybody that didn't see the Service Hero show, it was one person after another person after another person. We had so many testimonials of people that went on film to say how it is that Nori and her center have literally changed their life. You continue to be showing up. You continue to do this. And that is that. And I want to throw it back to the two of you to ask a question. However, the thing that I want to bring to the point, and this is that if you believe that you are to be here and you're feeling that energy that I am to be here, then Nori,
yes,
that's where you just do it because you can be here. Because we all have that dash. Yeah, we have the 2 dates, but the dash, it's what we do with the dash. And I love what you do in all the different categories, because you're bringing it together to say, it doesn't have to be that hard. Look up at the clouds. Do you see that bunny? That's beautiful.
And if we could just return to our childlike nature, because looking at reality just for a nanosecond, the truth is we're going to co-create with the medical field. We're going to co-create with them. So it is a co-creation. So why not, if you have to go and get an infusion, close your eyes and imagine every drip of that infusion is a heart. Right? See the heart going in, creating fireworks, right? Whatever it is your imagination can create, allow that to happen. Allow that to heal you. Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Right? Take your medication at home, put your hands around it, pray or energize it with a higher frequency, and then know that medication is filled with love. It's filled with healing, right? Just eliminate any negative thoughts by uplifting it yourself.
I would like to follow up on that and ask a question to you, and that is similar to the study that was done by the gentleman in Japan with the living, loving water. The fact that really, and we've been challenged in the small group, our closed community, to put our water into something healthy like glass or something that's not going to be toxic. And then as we're doing that, to write a message of love, energy, joy, that water is going to then take that energy, and then as we with love and energy and joy sip and drink that water into our body, then we can have that flowing through us, correct? So the question I have is the medicine. I had never given that a thought. However, how beautiful is that we that are going through any kind of journey where we're inviting that living, loving medicine into our body to heal. Like when you were saying the infusion, and think of it as hearts exploding, that is beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so powerful. Dr. Emoto did do all of those frozen photographs, right? Love, amazing, right? Symmetrical, beautiful. Peace, symmetrical, beautiful. Hate, not symmetrical, all disharmonious. So you can see how the energy affects the molecules in the water. And the same thing with what we do. There isn't one single day that goes by when I'm making the 3 dogs their food, I'm stirring it saying, the healing power of God and love is the only active presence in my dog's life. Every single day, every single dog. Why not do that for ourselves? The healing power of God, the healing power of love is the only active presence in my life. Own that. Aw, Sherry.
Very beautiful, Sherry. Sherry, very beautiful. And in fact, I think that's a great comment right there, that as people are inviting these, whatever it may be, a shot, an infusion, whatever it may be. And to me, it goes back to, I'm thinking back, and I was very close to my grandparents, and I'm thinking back to kind of the old way that I still like to do, and that is, that we were taught to say something grateful in whatever your thought process and your belief system is for the food, and ask it to be blessed, ask it to help nourish us. That's taking it one step further, and that goes back to, I'm sure, science. That's where I'm going to hand it back to Poe as we start to close this up. We've got a few more moments, and as we really kind of bring this back in a nice little bow, we've been talking about a lot of beautiful love here.
Well, and we have, and the science part of it, which is Dr. Massimo Moto and the crystals, the water crystals, and how things are, uplifting, love, and so forth. And it's true with music, as opposed to very distressed, painful music. The crystal will do the same thing. And if you think about scientifically, I mean, we're 70-80% of water, or whatever that is. And so, how does the things we surround ourselves with, and the things we put into our body, and even the thoughts and the intentions, which is what I really get to, and throw it back to you, Nori, but I'm hearing that popped up, purpose. We're not here, we're here for some purpose. And thus, Tamara, Nori, and Caroline, it's that knowing of what that purpose. I like to go beyond belief and say, we know we're here for a reason. And what is that? And what is that intention? Because that intention, if I didn't have an intention, I could have just gotten the COVID thing, been depressed, and no, I have an intention, and I know it, and I'm getting angry that this is disrupting me, and I'm going to kick its butt. And so that intention, how important
your vibration to the higher vibration where healing always happens. Yes.
Beautiful. Caroline, I'd love to hear you jump in here with your art and what you have a very passionate purpose and intention with art, sharing it, creating it, teaching it, and how does that relate to what you just heard Nori say for you?
Well, healing through art is a vibration of releasing energy, like negative energy that's in you. If you're having a bad day, I have a window that's to the right of me here, and I stare out my window into the nature. And if I'm having a emotional morning, I look out my window and I just gaze into the nature, and then I start creating the flow of letting go whatever's inside me. So this is where I allow people to understand what art is about, is letting go of the negative energy that's in you and create something beautiful that's coming through you. And so that's why these pieces here, this one here, I call it the crazy day of emotion, because it was a day of emotion for me. I woke up in some crazy mood, and I thought to myself, I'm going to look out the window, and I created half pour paint and half brush paint. And that was the energy that I let go out of me. And this is the energy that I tell everybody is, go with the flow, let go of that negative space, and find something that gives you that positive energy that can carry you through your day.
And I made the little noise because, and then what we've been doing recently is we have within the closed group, we've incorporated healing through art, of which Christopher Kaysen and Caroline are leading. And we're going to be going into our second project here soon. So anybody that does join us, that is one of the things that we don't just talk about it, guys. We actually
have fun.
Yeah. So as we start to close, because we only have a couple of minutes left, I'd like to first of all say thank you, Nori Love, for joining us today, and give you the very, very last moments to leave us with whatever nugget you would like to share.
The nugget I would like to share is just consider how loved and supported you are by the universe, right? Just consider that on your best day. And imagine that you're in a canoe and that you are always going to go in the direction that you need to go. But when it gets difficult, it's because you're trying to effort in the wrong direction. So if you stop for a minute and go, oh yeah, the universe has my back, I am taken care of, drop your oars and then float. You're going to go in the direction of love, healing, happiness, and well-being. Just drop the oars.
Perfect. And I know that we are out of time, though. We'll have to have you back on another show, because Poe would love to just like piggyback off of that, knowing him, because you're talking his language in a major huge way. Yet with that said, we want to welcome anyone that is ready to join the buddies that has been affected by cancer, both the patient and those people that love and support them. Find us, cb4l.org. Also, truthfully, if anybody wants to help support, we have a nice little donation button there, and every single penny goes into our organization, into our projects. We want to be able to get more of these healing kits out to buddies to be able to paint. We really want to get many more out there. So every single dollar counts. Go to the store, support us there also. Great place to buy something for someone that you just don't know what to get someone that maybe have heard those 3 words. It's a great place to go. Thank you, everyone, for being with us here on the Tour of Love. We will be back next Sunday, same time at 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Until then, make it a week full of love.